Hey everyone. Today, we're diving into a nightmare that turned my world upside down. Have you ever been blindsided by someone you trusted? Someone who was supposed to be family? Picture this. I'm scrolling through my phone, sipping coffee, when I stumble across a post that makes my stomach drop. My mother-in-law, Helen, has been tearing me apart online, calling my cooking disgusting and my parenting a disgrace. My hands shake as I read her words, each one a dagger. How could she do this? I'm Sarah, a 32-year-old mom of two, married to her son, Mark, for 7 years. I thought we were okay. Not close, but civil. Now, her public rants are blowing up, and I'm the villain in her story. Stay with me to uncover this betrayal and how I fought back. It started last Tuesday, a regular morning. I was juggling breakfast for my kids, Lily and Ethan, when I got a notification. A cousin tagged me in a post on Facebook. Curious. I clicked, expecting a family photo or a joke. Instead, it was Helen's profile, her latest status glaring at me. Some people shouldn't be allowed near a stove. Burnt chicken and soggy rice poor. Mark deserves better. My face burned. She was talking about me. I'd made dinner for them last week. And sure, the rice wasn't perfect, but burnt. That was a lie. I scrolled down, my heart racing. Another post. Kids need discipline, not chaos. Someone's too busy on her phone to raise them right? That was about me too. My kids aren't perfect, but I'm a good mom. I work hard, balancing my job as a graphic designer with school runs and bedtime stories. How dare she? I kept reading. Each post worse than the last. Helen had been at this for weeks, maybe months. She'd painted me as a lazy, incompetent wife and mother, and her friends were eating it up. You tell 'em. Helen one commented. Mark needs a real woman. Another wrote. My throat tightened. These weren't just her words. They were public, permanent, spreading like wildfire. I checked her followers, over 500 including half our family. Aunts, uncles, cousins, they all saw this. Did they agree I felt exposed? Like my life was being dissected for likes and shares? I closed the app. My coffee cold. My first instinct was to call Mark. But he was at work. Probably clueless. Helen lived 10 minutes away. And we saw her often too often. Maybe. She'd always been picky, criticizing my curtains, or how I folded laundry. But this was war. I wanted to storm her house and demand answers. But I froze. What if she twisted it? Made me the bad guy I needed proof. A plan. I screenshot every post. My fingers trembling. There were dozens. Dating back months. One from March. Some daughters-in-law think they're above family traditions. Sad. That was after I skipped her Easter brunch for Lily's soccer game. She'd been holding grudges, building a case against me. I sat on the couch. Lily's crayons scattered around me. My kids didn't deserve this. What if they saw her posts one day? What if their friends' parents did? My mind spiraled. Was I a bad wife? A bad mom? No, I wasn't perfect, but I loved my family. Helen's lies were personal, calculated. Why? Was it jealousy control? I didn't know yet, but I was done being her punching bag. Have you ever been attacked like this? Your name dragged through the mud. It's paralyzing. But I couldn't stay silent. I had to fight back. Not just for me, but for my kids. My marriage. What would you do in my shoes? Call her out, ignore it. I was about to make a choice that would change everything. Stick around, this gets wild. The screenshots stared back at me. a digital dagger twisting deeper with every scroll. Helen's posts weren't just cruel, they were a campaign. And now I needed to know who was on her side. I opened Facebook again, my chest tight, and dug into the comments. My cousin Lisa had liked one, "Kids need discipline, not chaos." My Aunt Karen wrote, "Helen, you're so right." My own family, people I'd laughed with at reunions, were cheering her on. I felt like I'd been slapped. Had they always thought this about me? Or was Helen just that good at spinning lies I needed answers? But first, I had to see how far this betrayal went. Have you ever felt your world shrink? Like everyone's secretly against you? That's where I was. Drowning in doubt, I started messaging relatives, keeping it casual. "Hey, saw Mom's post. What's up with that?" I texted Lisa. Her reply was quick. "Oh, she's just venting. Don't take it personally." Venting. Calling me a failure in front of 500 people wasn't venting. It was vicious. My Uncle Tom was worse Sarah. Maybe try harder with her. She's old school. Try harder, I'd spent years biting my tongue, cooking her favorite casseroles, inviting her to Lily's recitals. If anything, I tried too hard. Their responses stung. But they confirmed one thing: Helen had rallied an army. And I was standing alone. I checked her page again. Obsessive now. A new post had dropped. Some people fake being busy to avoid family duties. My blood boiled. That was about me working late last week. I'd missed her impromptu dinner invite because I had a deadline. She knew that. Yet, here she was, twisting it to make me look selfish. The comments poured in: neighbors, church friends, even my old high school teacher. "Helen, you deserve better." One said. I wanted to scream. These people didn't know me. Not really. But her words were gospel. I felt like an outsider in my own life. My reputation crumbling with every like. I called my best friend, Mia, to vent. She's trashing me online, and everyone's buying it. I said, voice shaking. Mia was blunt. "Sarah, she's bullying you. Call her out." But could I? Helen was Mark's mum, the family matriarch. Confronting her meant risking everything: family dinners, holidays, my kids' relationship with their grandma. Still, Mia's words stuck. This wasn't just about me. It was about my kids, my dignity. What kind of mum would I be if I let this slide? I started saving more screenshots, building a case. Each one fueled my anger, but also my fear. What if this got worse? I tried talking to my sister-in-law, Jen, hoping for an ally. She was married to Mark's brother, so maybe she'd seen this side of Helen too. "Yeah, she's intense," Jen said. "But she means well. Just ignore it. Ignore it." My hands clenched the phone. Jen was dodging, probably scared of Helen's wrath. I got it. Helen had a way of making you feel small, but her dismissal hurt. I was alone, surrounded by people who either agreed with Helen or wouldn't pick a side. Have you ever been ganged up on like that, with nowhere to turn? It's suffocating. By evening, I was a wreck, replaying every family moment. Had Helen always hated me? There were signs: her snide comments about my job, her jokes about my parenting. But this public attack was new, bold. Why now? Was it because I'd started setting boundaries, like skipping her endless Sunday brunches? Or was she just bored? Using me to play victim online, I didn't know. But I couldn't let her win. I sat at my kitchen table, kids asleep, and opened my laptop. I wasn't ready to fight yet, but I was done crying. What would you do if your family turned on you? I was about to find out how deep this went. Stay tuned. This is just the start. Mark came home that night, loosening his tie, oblivious to the storm brewing. I'd been stewing all day. Helen's post burning holes in my mind. I needed him, my husband, to have my back. But when I showed him the screenshots, his reaction gutted me. She's just being dramatic. Sarah, let it go. Let it go. His mom was shredding my name online, and he was shrugging it off like it was nothing. My voice cracked as I pushed back. Mark, she called me a disgrace. Our family sees this. He sighed, rubbing his temples. She's always been like this. Don't make it a big deal. I stared at him, my heart sinking. Have you ever felt betrayed by the one person who's supposed to fight for you? That was me, standing in our kitchen. Alone, I tried again, shoving my phone in his face. Look at this one. Some wives care more about work than their husbands. That's about me. Mark glanced at it, then looked away. She's venting. Talk to her if it bothers you. Talk to her like I hadn't tried every time I'd brought up Helen's snide remarks before. She'd twist it, play the victim. Mark knew that. Yet, here he was, dodging, leaving me to face her alone. I wanted to scream. Was he scared of her? Or did he secretly agree? The thought made my stomach churn. I paced the living room, kids' toys scattered underfoot. Mark sat on the couch, scrolling his phone, acting like we hadn't just fought. You're making this bigger than it is. He muttered. That did it. Bigger than it is. Your mom's humiliating me. And you're fine with it. My voice shook, loud enough to wake the kids if they weren't out cold. He stood, finally, meeting my eyes. Sarah, she's my mom. She's not perfect, but she loves us. Loves us. This wasn't love, it was control. Spite. Dressed up as concern. I needed him to see that. But he was slipping through my fingers. I sat down, tears stinging. What if Lily or Ethan see this one day? What if their friends' parents do? That hit him. His face softened, but only for a second. They won't. Just don't escalate it. Escalate it, I wasn't the one posting lies for the world to see. But Mark's silence was its own betrayal. He was choosing peace with his mom over me, his wife. Have you ever had to beg your partner to stand up for you? It's like pleading for air. I felt like I was suffocating. Trapped between Helen's attacks and Mark's apathy, I went to bed fuming. Mark snoring beside me. My mind wouldn't quit. Why was he so passive growing up? Helen ruled their house. Mark and his brother never challenged her. Maybe he was conditioned to let her win, but I wasn't. I pulled out my phone, rereading her posts. Each one was a jab, calculated to make me look small. One stuck out. A real wife puts family first, not her ego. That was after I told her I couldn't host a book club because of a work project. She'd smiled to my face, then stabbed me online. The hypocrisy burned. By 2 a.m. I was wide awake, plotting. Mark wouldn't help, so I'd have to fight alone. But how confronting Helen directly hadn't worked before. She'd cry, play the martyr, and I'd end up apologizing. Going public felt risky. I could look petty, and she'd spin it. Still, doing nothing wasn't an option. What would you do if your spouse left you to face a bully alone? I was torn. But one thing was clear. Helen's lies were spreading, and silence was letting her win. I closed my eyes. exhausted, but resolved. This was about to get messier. Stay with me, things are about to explode. I woke up with Helen's words echoing in my head. But one post hit harder than the rest. It was fresh, posted at midnight, and it broke me. A failed wife drags everyone down with her. Mark deserves better than this mess. My hands shook as I read it, the screen blurring through tears. Failed wife, I'd spent years building a life with Mark. 2 kids, a home, a career I juggled through sleepless nights. And now, this venomous lie was viral, racking up 200 likes and 50 shares. Friends, neighbors, even my old co-workers were seeing it. My name was being shredded, and I couldn't breathe. Have you ever been publicly torn apart? Your whole life reduced to a cruel caption I was done hiding. I sat at the kitchen table, coffee untouched, replaying every jab Helen had thrown. This post wasn't just another rant, it was personal. A dagger aimed at my marriage. The comments were brutal. Poor Mark, stuck with her. And Helen, you're so brave for speaking out. Brave. She was a coward, hiding behind her keyboard while I scrambled to hold my family together. I checked the shares. My aunt had reposted it, adding, family comes first. Always. My own aunt. The betrayal stung. But it also lit a fire. I wasn't going to let Helen's lies define me. I grabbed my laptop. Heart pounding. I needed to respond, to set the record straight. But how a private message wouldn't cut it. She'd ignore me or play victim. Confronting her in person was a trap. She'd twist my words, cry to Mark, and I'd be the villain. Going public was my only shot. But it terrified me. What if I looked desperate? What if the family turned on me completely? My kids' faces flashed in my mind. Lily's gap-toothed smile. Ethan's messy drawings. They deserved a mom who fought back. I opened Facebook, my cursor hovering. What would you do if someone attacked your family? Like this, I was about to find out. I started typing, then deleted it. Too angry. I tried again, aiming for calm but firm. Helen's posts about me are lies. I'm a good mom and wife, and I won't let her rewrite my story. It felt weak, not enough to counter her venom. I needed to expose her, but carefully. I dug through my screenshots, finding patterns. Every post twisted a truth. My missed brunch became neglecting family. My late work nights were selfishness. She was crafting a narrative, and I had to dismantle it. I drafted again. For months. Helen has spread lies about my cooking, my parenting, my love for Mark. Here's the truth. I listed examples, pairing her posts with facts. It was raw, risky, but real. I hesitated, my finger over the post button. This could backfire. Mark was already distant. Would this push him further? And the family, some might rally behind Helen. Call me dramatic. But staying silent was worse. Her viral post was spreading, tainting my kid's future, my reputation. I thought of Mia's advice, she's bullying you. Fight back. I added a final line. I'm standing up for my family. Who's with me? It was a call to arms, a plea for support. My stomach churned. Was I ready for the fallout? No. But I was done being her victim. Have you ever had to risk it all to defend your truth? I was about to hit post and change everything. Stick around. This is where it gets wild. I stared at my draft, the cursor blinking like a heartbeat. My post was ready, a 300-word takedown of Helen's lies. Each line backed by screenshots and truth. Helen says, I'm a failed wife. Last week, I worked late to pay our bills while Mark was sick. That's not failure, that's love. It was bold. Maybe too bold. My finger hovered over post, my stomach in knots. This wasn't just a reply. It was a declaration of war. Once I hit that button, there was no going back. The family would see it. Mark would see it. And Helen would lose it. Have you ever stood at a crossroads, knowing one choice could burn bridges? That's where I was. Scared, but ready. I reread my words, tweaking for impact. I added a jab. Helen calls my parenting chaotic, but she's never seen Lily's straight A report card or Ethan's soccer games. It felt good, sharp. But doubt crept in. What if I came off as petty? Social media feuds where messy people love the drama, but judge the players. I imagined the comments, Sarah's unhinged, or she's disrespecting her elder. I shook it off. Helen started this, not me. Her viral post had 300 shares now, each one spreading her poison. Silence wasn't an option. It was surrender. I had to fight for my kids, my marriage, my name. I called Mia for a gut check. Read it. I said, sending her the draft. She called back in minutes. Sarah, it's fire. Post it. She deserves this. Her confidence steadied me. But I still wavered. Mark was my biggest worry. He'd begged me not to escalate. And this was the opposite. I pictured his face, disappointed, maybe angry. But his silence had left me alone in this mess. If he wouldn't stand up for me, I'd do it myself. I added a softer line, I love my family, including Helen. But lies hurt us all. It was a nod to peace, a shield against claims I was heartless. I checked the time, 9 p.m. The kids were asleep. Mark was watching TV downstairs. Now or never. I thought of Lily. How she'd ask one day why Grandma said those things. I wanted her to see a mom who fought back, not a doormat. I took a breath and hit post. The screen refreshed. My words live for the world. My heart raced. Notifications pinged instantly, likes, comments, shares. My cousin, Lisa Sarah. I had no idea. I'm sorry. A co-worker. You're a rock star, Mom. But then, Helen's friend. This is low. Sarah, respect your elders. The battle had begun. What would you do if your truth sparked a firestorm? I was about to find out. I refreshed obsessively, watching the numbers climb. 20 shares. Then 50. My phone buzzed with text, support from Mia. Silence from Mark. I braced for Helen's response. Would she double down, play victim, or ignore me? I scrolled the comments. A mix of love and hate. Stay strong. Sarah versus you're tearing the family apart. Each one stung. But the support fueled me. I'd exposed her lies, and people were listening. But the real test was coming. How would the family react when we faced off? And Mark, would he finally pick a side? I felt alive, terrified, unstoppable. This was my clapback. But the war wasn't over. Stay with me. It's about to get explosive. My post was a bomb, and the fallout hit fast. By morning, it had 500 shares. Comments flooding in, some cheering me, others slamming me as disrespectful. Helen saw it. Her silence online was deafening, but I knew she was plotting. Then, at noon, Mark's phone buzzed. Helen had called a family meeting at her house that evening. We need to talk about Sarah's post. Her text read, my stomach dropped. This was it, the showdown I'd both dreaded and craved. I'd exposed her lies, but now I'd face her in person. with the whole family watching. Have you ever walked into a room knowing you're the target? That's where I was headed. Heart pounding but ready. Mark was livid. Why couldn't you just talk to her privately? He snapped, pacing our kitchen. I fired back. I tried. Mark, you told me to let it go. He shook his head, grabbing his keys. This is a mess. Sarah. His words cut. But I stood firm. I wasn't the one who started this. Helen did. I dressed carefully, choosing a simple sweater and jeans. Nothing flashy. I wanted to look like me, not the villain she'd painted. Lily hugged me before we left. Why is Grandma mad? She asked. I forced a smile. Just grown-up stuff. Sweetie. But inside, I was raging for her. For us. We pulled up to Helen's house. Cars already lining the driveway. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Everyone was there. Like a tribunal. I clutched my phone. Screenshots, ready if I needed them. Helen opened the door. Her face a mask of hurt. Sarah, how could you? She said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I bit my tongue as we walked in. The living room was packed. Tension thick. My Aunt Karen glared. My cousin Lisa looked away. Mark sat beside me. Silent. I felt like a defendant in a trial I didn't sign up for. What would you do? Facing a room full of judges, I was about to find out. Helen started, voice trembling. Sarah's post humiliated me. I was just sharing my feelings. Feelings I couldn't stay quiet. You called me a failed wife. Helen. You lied about my cooking. My kids. Gasps rippled through the room. She blinked. Caught off guard. I never meant to hurt you. She said. Tears welling. Classic Helen play the victim. I pulled out my phone. Then why this? I read her viral post aloud. A failed wife drags everyone down. The room went silent. My Uncle Tom shifted uncomfortably. That's harsh. He muttered. For the first time, I saw cracks in her armor. I kept going. Voice steady. You said I neglect Mark, but I work late to support us. You called my parenting chaotic, but my kids are happy? Thriving? I looked at Mark, willing him to speak. He didn't. Helen sobbed. You're twisting my words. But I had receipts. I showed the screenshots, passing my phone around. Lisa's eyes widened. I didn't know it was this bad. She whispered. Helen's tears dried fast. You're attacking me in my own home, she snapped. I shot back. You attacked me online for months. The room erupted, cousins arguing, Karen defending Helen. It was chaos. But I felt alive. I'd called her out, and some were listening. Have you ever stood your ground and felt the tide shift? That's where I was. The meeting ended with no resolution, just raw emotions. Helen stormed off, Mark trailing her. I stayed, talking to Lisa, who apologized for liking Helen's posts. I didn't see the full picture. She said, it wasn't much, but it was a start. Driving home, Mark was quiet. You went too far. He mumbled. Too far I'd just begun. This fight wasn't over. It was bigger than me now. Stay tuned. The real fallout is coming. The family meeting left me drained but defiant. Helen's tears and Mark's silence lingered like a bruise. But I'd cracked her facade. Driving home, the car was a tomb. Mark staring ahead. Me gripping my phone. Notifications still pinging. My post was at 800 shares now. A wildfire I'd ignited. Comments poured in Sarah. You're so strong, but also, you're tearing the family apart. The split was clear, and so was the family's. Lisa's apology was a flicker of hope. But others, like Aunt Karen, doubled down. Texting me, "You shamed Helen. Fix this. Fix it. Helen started this war. Have you ever been blamed for fighting back against a bully I was living that? And it was splitting us apart, at home." Mark finally spoke. "Mom's a mess. Sarah, you didn't have to go public." I snapped. "She went public first. Where were you when she called me a failure?" He flinched, but didn't answer. His loyalty was torn, and I hated how it made me doubt him. I checked my phone, more support from strangers, but family texts were brutal. "Uncle Tom, you're selfish. Jen, my sister-in-law. This is why I stay out of drama." Their words stung, but I saw the pattern. Helen had them trained to defend her, no matter what. I wasn't just fighting her. I was up against a family system. By morning, the divide deepened. Lisa called. Guilty. I talked to Mom. She's furious, but won't admit she's wrong. She offered to mediate, a small win. But Karen and others rallied around Helen, posting cryptic statuses. Family should lift, not tear down. Subtle. But I knew the target. My kids sensed the tension. Lily asked, "Is Grandma mad at you?" I hugged her, hiding my fear. "We're just talking things out." "But were we?" Helen's silence online was strategic. She was regrouping, probably spinning a new narrative. What would you do when half your family picks the bully? Over you, I was about to find out who was really with me. I met Mia for coffee, needing clarity. "You shook them up," she said. "Keep pushing." She was right backing down. Now would let Helen win. I posted again. "Softer, but firm, I want peace. But not at the cost of my dignity. Let's talk truth." It got traction, pulling more allies' cousins I hadn't heard from, even Mark's old friend, who messaged Helen's out of line. "You got this." But the cost was heavy. Mark barely spoke, sleeping on the couch. I felt him slipping away, and it terrified me. Was this worth losing my marriage? I pushed the thought down. I had to protect my kids. My truth. The family split hardened. Lisa and a few cousins started texting support, sharing their own Helen stories, her control, her guilt trips. It validated me. But Karen's crew grew louder, planning a family dinner without us. Helen was orchestrating it. I knew. My post had forced her to retreat online. But she was fighting offline, rallying her loyalists. I felt the walls closing in, but also a strange power. I'd exposed her, and some saw through her now. Have you ever watched a family fracture over truth? It's messy, painful. But I wasn't alone anymore. I braced for the next blow, knowing Helen wasn't done. Stay with me, this is far from over. The family dinner without her stung. But it also cleared the fog. Helen's grip on the family was slipping, and I was done chasing her approval. Mark's distance hurt most. He was still on the couch, barely talking. But my kids needed me whole, and that meant reclaiming my voice. I sat at my desk, reflecting on the chaos. My posts had sparked a war, but they'd also freed me. I wasn't the villain Helen painted. I was a mom, a wife, fighting for respect. Have you ever had to rebuild after a betrayal? That's where I was, piecing myself together, ready to close this chapter. I posted one final time, not for drama, but for closure. This isn't about winning, it's about truth. I love my family, but respect goes both ways. Let's heal, not hurt. It was raw, honest, and it resonated 1,000 shares, comments flooding with support. Strangers shared their own stories of toxic in-laws. Cousins like Lisa reached out, promising to call Helen out. Even Mark's friend texted him, "Sarah's right? Talk to your mom." The tide was turning. But Helen stayed silent. Her only move a vague post. Family is forever, despite the pain. No apology. Just more martyr vibes. Typical. I confronted Mark that night. No yelling, just truth. I needed you. And you chose silence? We can't go on like this. His eyes softened. Guilty. I didn't know how to handle her. He admitted, "I'm sorry. It wasn't enough. But it was a start. We talked, really talked for the first time in weeks." He promised to set boundaries with Helen, starting with a private call. He told her, "Mom, your post hurt Sarah and our kids. Stop." She cried, deflected. But he held firm. It was small, but it felt like progress. Have you ever seen someone you love finally step up? It's bittersweet. But it's hope. The family stayed fractured. Karen's crew kept their distance, but Lisa and others grew closer, apologizing for staying blind too long. I learned who my people were. And it wasn't about numbers, it was about loyalty. I set new rules, no more endless brunches, no more biting my tongue. Helen wasn't welcome until she owned her actions. She hasn't yet, and maybe she never will. But I'm okay with that. My kids are thriving. Mark's trying, and I'm stronger. This fight taught me boundaries aren't selfish, they're survival. What would you do to protect your peace? I chose to stand tall, and I'd do it again. This mess started with a cruel post. But it ended with a lesson: don't let lies define you. Helen's rants tried to break me, but they built me instead. I hope my story hits home. Maybe you're fighting your own Helen, or maybe you're scared to speak up. Don't be. Your voice matters, and so does your truth. Share your stories below what's your family drama. Like, comment, subscribe. And let's keep this real. Stay strong out there. I'm Sarah, a mom and wife who faced a public nightmare when my mother-in-law, Helen, trashed me online, calling me a failed wife and mom. Her viral posts rallied family against me, exposing her lies and their betrayal. Mark's silence hurt. But I fought back, posting my truth and sparking a feud. The family meeting was chaos. Helen played victim, but my screenshots shook some awake. The fallout split us some. Like Lisa, supported me. Others clung to Helen. Mark finally stepped up, setting boundaries. I learned to prioritize my peace, setting rules and reclaiming my voice. Helen never apologized, but I grew stronger, choosing truth over silence. This story's about standing up, no matter the cost. Share yours below. What's your family fight? Let's talk.